Okay, so let us start our discussion for subject VLSI technology. As per the syllabus of university, Abdul Kalam Technical University, as per the syllabus, if you see the topics as starting from introduction to IC technology, epitaxy, oxidation, lithography, dielectric and polysilicon film deposition, diffusion, ion implantation, metallization, and then packaging of VLSI devices. So basically, this subject VLSI design covers VLSI technology covers basically the IC fabrication steps, that how basically any chip is manufactured in any industry. Okay, so in this subject, we are going to discuss that how basically a chip is manufactured, what all are the processing steps to fabricate any integrated circuit. Okay, before the starting of this subject, it is expected that now you are aware that what is electronics, what is integrated circuit, what are the components inside integrated circuit, and why integrated circuits are there into the market. Okay, so and what we are expecting as the outcome of this subject is basically that you must be able to interpret the basic crystal growth process, wafer preparation, wafer cleaning. You must be able to evaluate the epitaxy and oxidation, differentiate between lithography, etching and deposition process. You must be able to analyze the process of diffusion and ion implantation, and you must be able to express the basic process involved in metallization and packaging. Okay, this is what is expected as the course outcome of this subject. Okay, so let us start with the first unit, that is Introduction to IC Technology. The contents as per the curriculum of the university are SSI, MSI, LSI, VLSI integrated circuit, which is nothing but just the classification. Then crystal growth and wafer preparation process, electronic grade silicon, Joukra-Lasky crystal growth, silicon shaping, process consideration, wafer cleaning technology, basic concept of wafer cleaning, that is wet cleaning or dry cleaning. So in this unit basically what we are going to study is basically that the integrated circuit, let us say this is your IC, then the integrated circuit is actually fabricated on some device. Okay, on some base, onto some base. So if this is the base, then this base is known as the wafer onto which this integrated circuit is actually fabricated. Okay, so first of all, this base is required to be prepared, which is known as wafer, and on this base, basically, this integrated circuit will be developed. So, in this first unit, you are going to study that how basically this base, that means the wafer, is prepared. Okay, so the wafer is prepared by using crystal growth process and by obtaining single crystal structure of the material which we are using in integrated circuit fabrication. I am coming to the point that which material we will use. I will come to that point later. Okay, but before that, first of all, the first point you should think about is that in 1948, BJT was invented. Right? In 1948, BJT was invented. Then electronics emerged out from electrical. In 1958, IC technology started. In 1958, this first IC, as shown here, Jack Kilby's original integrated circuit was first proposed in 1958. This is the original diagram of that. Okay, so this was proposed in 1958. Now, from 1958 to 2020, where we are, in last 62 years, 6 decade has been passed. Then which type of IC was manufactured at that moment and which type of ICs are nowadays? This is simply any 555 IC. The most common IC which most of the students use in their labs for different practicals like monostable multivariator, astable multivariator, pulse generator, and different applications of this. Right, so I have just seen this IC here just for understanding purpose, that you can imagine that which type of ICs are there in the market, and we are going to discuss that how basically these ICs are manufactured in this subject. And we should must we take care of this point that this IC was initially invented in 1958. So what are the advancement that has been done in last 6 decades? Okay, that you must also think about. So first of all, as per the syllabus we will proceed, and before that I want to tell you that we first must be aware of that what is inside an IC. We must first be aware about the IC fabrication steps, the basic fabrication steps. Okay, this is what I am not going to cover here right now, because I have separate videos on this, and you can see those videos from the YouTube. Okay, so I am not discussing these portions. I am proceeding further as per the syllabus of this subject, VLSI technology, as per your curriculum. But this is required as far as your knowledge is required, that you should be aware that how basically IC looks like inside, and what is the purpose of seeing that, and what are the basic steps in fabrication. Okay, so let us proceed further with the according to the syllabus, that is the classification of SSI, MSI, LSI, and VLSI integrated circuits. Let us first have a look on this. First of all, the classification is done based on the number of components inside the IC. Let us say if this is your IC, let us say if this is your IC, right? Then inside this IC, whatever is the size of this, the size will remain same, and the components, the gates inside this IC, okay, the density of gates define the this classification, that how many gates are present inside this IC. If number of gates, initially we see that initially a single transistor was there in 1959, right? While if we talk about the logic gates in 1960, there was one gate only in the starting. Okay, then we classified the first name as small scale integration when we were able to have up to 10 gates in this area, right? Then further advancement happens, and then we were able to reduce the size of the gates. Basically we were able to reduce the size of the transistor. Okay, that's why we were able to reduce the size of gate, and hence in onto the same area, if this is the area, let us say, and here we were having only one transistor. Let us say this is the transistor, we were able to implement only one transistor in 1960, right? Then with some advancement, in only few years from 1960 to 64, we were able to reduce the size of this, and we were able to implement up to 10 transistors, up to 10 gates inside this same area. And in the same area we were able to implement 100 gates in up to year 1967. So as we were proceeding, we were able to implement more number of gates. We have classified this technology as starting from SSI, small scale integration, when the components were up to 10 only. Then we again classified this technology, we renamed it as medium scale integration, when the number of components were from 10 to up to 100 only. But when further we were able to increase the number of components by reducing the size, again we again classified this technology as large scale integration, since we were able to implement up to 1000 transistors, right? When we were again able to implement more number of transistors by reducing the size further, then up to 10,000 we reached, and we gave the name as VLSI. Similarly, you can increase one zero again and again, and we can give a new name. So from VLSI we have given the name ULSI, then from ULSI we have given the name GLSI. Then after, people think that okay, this is sufficient, we have given too many definitions, there is no need to say that like that. Simply one word, that means since the components are large, much large, so simply give the name very large, right? That's why the name given was very large scale integration. That's why from them time till now we generally talk this as the name VLSI technology. Okay, so VLSI technology basically does not mean that there are only 1000 to 10,000 transistors, but if there are 100,000, 1,000,000, 10,000,000, or even billion transistors at present moment, right, onto the same area, even then we generally name it as VLSI technology. That means very large scale integration, and number of components are there inside the chip in the same area. Okay, Here you have to see one more thing is that in 1959 this was started. From 1960 to 1964, only in 4 years you defined SSI technology when the components were up to 10. Then from 1964 to 67, MSI comes with 100 transistors. Then similarly, you can see further that 67 to 72, 72 to 78, 89, late 90s, it was GSI technology. Most of the students, the young students, were perhaps not there at that time in 1990, right? If I talk about the BTech level student, I don't think there is anybody who will be having the age more than 30 years at present in 2020. So, what I just think that no student of BTech was there in late 90s when GSI technology comes. But even from then till date, when you are young enough and you are going to be an engineer, see, the name is still VLSI. However, nanotechnology has come, but that is not far, much different. Okay, as far as the nomenclature is concerned, we are giving one name, VLSI technology. Okay, you can think about the possible applications as per the number of gates, the number of transistors, the number of gates. According to that, the applications can be there, right? So if you see the typical functions, sorry, so if you see the typical functions in SSI technology, you can see that you can implement easily the gates, op amps, and some linear applications. In case of MSI technology, onto the same chip in the IC, you were able to implement resistor and filters. While in case of LSI technology, that is up to 1972, you were able to implement processors onto the same area, analog to digital converters, etc. Moving further, in 1978, when VLSI technology comes, now you are able to implement memories, microcontroller, from processor to microcontroller, right? And from microcontroller to digital processor and computers, you are able to implement in VLSI technology. Now you are able to integrate at system level. System on chip devices have come, complete system on chip. This is how we have integrated ourselves. Since onto the same area more number of gates are there, you can implement more number of functions, and hence onto this small area you are able to implement a complete system on this chip. This is the beauty of VLSI design. Here, one point you should be aware of is about the Moore's law. Gordon Murray was the scientist, basically, who just predicted that uh, how basically the number of transistors will increase year by year. He just thought in 1965 that and stated that the number of transistors on IC would double every year, right? He just think, and he declared that in each year the number of transistors will be doubled onto the same area of the chip. If this is the chip, then if you are having 10 components here, you will be having 20 components in the next year, then 20 to 40 components into the next to next year, and so on. This is how the component will increase onto the same area. This is what he predicted, right? But 2 years later, after his prediction, he revised his statement, and he said that doubling will occur every 18 months. Remember this point known as Moore's law, and the Moore's law is that in each 18 months the transistor will be doubled. Okay, so this rule which he has just defined become a law because law is what, which is a universal law, and it becomes a law because it becomes universal truth that everywhere wherever you are implementing, it is actually happening. There is some reason behind that why it is happening. Okay, we were not discuss about that point, that how basically this is going on, but this basically we here want to discuss. I want to tell you only this point, that Moore's law is what, is that what Morse has predicted, and he gave the statement that transistors on the to the same area will double in every 18 months. That prediction becomes true, and so that prediction becomes a law known as Moore's law. Okay, So this is, you can see basically this picture from Intel website, because Gordon Murray also belongs to that. Okay, and Intel is doing the same. So you can see the history completely, that is starting from the first processor 4004, then 8008, 8080, and till Core i7, or even in 2011 or 12, and then now in 2020 we have even reached far away. So okay, even now you can see that how much are the number of components inside the chip onto the same area. They are doubling in every 18 months. Okay, next point that should be discussed is crystal structure and crystal defect, because we are going to obtain a single crystal structured wafer onto which fabrication will take place. So before doing that, the crystal structure and possible crystal defect must be clear to you. So that we will discuss later in the next.